in my situation, in my case, I'll just delete this network that I prepared before. I would like to connect to AWS network, VPC in the cloud, and I want to connect to a database to RDS instance. So the reason why I cannot run NetBird agent on this instance is obvious, because it's a managed service. And another point here, I don't want to expose this database to public, so it has customer data, for instance, and I want to keep it private in a private network. And I also don't want to work or mess up the firewall, the security groups, and I can do this with NetBird networks. So let's create a network. The network in NetBird is a logical representation of your physical network. So it can be VPC, it can be an office network, it can be a data center network, any kind of network. After I added network, the system suggests to add a resource, and I'll follow the suggestion. And resource is something in the network that you can connect to. So it can be an individual machine with an IP address. So you can define resource as an IP address. Just input it this way. It can be a subnet as well. So it can be a whole network, subnet. It can be a resource, right? It can be a domain name, internal domain name like this one. Or it can be match domain, or sorry, it can be a wildcard domain, so that matches a bunch of resources. In my case, that is a RDS demo instance, and I will already have the instance ready on AWS, and I will just copy the endpoint, the private endpoint. That's a private endpoint, and I will take a note of the port. So I will input it right here, and then I can add this resource to a group that I can later use when defining access control. So I don't have a group yet. I create a new group, databases, and once I say add a resource, NetBird will create this group automatically. But before I proceed, I will show you that I cannot connect to this resource. So I'll just run a simple netcat command. Let's give it a verbose mode and a little timeout. And work. So connection refused. So I cannot connect to this internal database. So I add a resource. Then the system asks me to add an access control policy. I want to make sure that my laptop connects to this database. And my laptop is in the IT administrators group. I want to connect to port 5432 TCP protocol. That's pretty much it. There is one-way access from IT administrators to databases. I can define posture checks. That's a zero trust part of the solution. I'll cover it later, but I'll just name it IT admins to databases. Okay, I created the policy, but remember I mentioned the routing peer in the middle. We're missing this part, so the system suggests us to add one, and I will pick one routing peer. There is a server, but it's not the one that we need, so I will just follow the instructions and add a new one. the system generates a setup key that I can use to enroll a new machine into the network. And I already have a prepared EC2 instance for that. The key part is that it has to reside in the same VPC as in the same network as your database, right? So that's the one. I'll connect to it through AWS and run the command. Okay, so it shows it's connected. Now I can go back to NetBird, and here we go. Here we go. There is routing peer. I'll choose it, and done. So what we have so far, we have a network. It's cloud network, VPC, AWS in Ireland. We have a resource in this network. The resource is in the group databases. We have a policy that allows IT administrators to connect to the databases, and we can add more policies here. And we have a routing peer. So now let's see the connection works. So, let's wait a little bit. And maybe I'll disable this one. Oh yeah, so the connection is successful. What I can do, I can just now disable this connection, and it's refused again. I can enable it, and then it will be back again. The cool thing about NetBird is that you can create connections regardless of the location of your resources. So it can be data center connecting to cloud or cloud to cloud. So if you have, for instance, a database on AWS like here, and your workloads are on premise, you can easily do that without touching your security groups, and so on. So that's a very flexible solution. Yeah, so we have the connection. Now, what happens if this routing peer is down, right? So for whatever reason, it's an EC2 node, it can go down, right? So your connection will die, and therefore access, and you cannot allow this, right? So what to do in this case, and here comes the high availability feature. You simply can add another machine as a routing peer in the same network, and then when one machine is down, the other one will pick it up. So we can do the same process, the same setup process with another machine. I'll connect to another node with AWS Session Manager, and I already have NetBird installed there. So I'll just run app command, go back to NetBird, and there is a routing peer number 2. I can add it to the network, and you see that the high availability access mode is enabled. And if you want to make it more reliable, you can add more machines.